Now this is what happened to me about 45, 50 years ago. I have been a student of human health and human illness since 1956. And would you believe, I am as confused as I am, if not more, today than 60 years ago when I joined the medical school. I thought I knew everything when I passed my M.B.B.S. When I passed my M.D., I thought I had everything. Then I thought, nobody knows as much as I know. That arrogance was in my head. One day, a patient was brought dead in our intensive care unit at about 2 o'clock in the morning. Patient was dead, young man who was so fanatic about his health. He was getting a checkup done almost every 3 months. He was 34 years old, just married with a wife who was 30 years old. The minute she saw me, she was rolling on the floor. She caught hold of my leg tight at the ankle. Then she asked me one question, one simple question. Why did my husband die, doctor? This lady had a very vital question. Why did my husband die, doctor? I was completely nonplussed. For the first time I said, you bloody fool, answer that question. I had no answer. Absolutely no answer. Any one of you have an idea what education is? What is education? Students, what is the meaning of the word education? Nobody knows what education is? I'll tell you later. And our Honorable Minister, Shri U.T. Kadar, who is an exception to a politician. He is a politician, of course. You have to be a politician to be a minister. But he is an exception because he grew up in an environment of authenticity. His father, U.T. Farid, was my patient for a number of years. He was a very authentic MLA, very authentic politician. So growing up in that house, not being born to him because genetics has nothing. You are not your parents' children. Actually now we have got epigenetics. It has come back to the Sanatana Dharma where it says everything is environmental. And so beautifully it said, you are not the child of your parents. You have come through your parents, that's all. And this is absolutely true genetically because you have only 23,000 genes in a metagenome from human beings, but 2.5 trillion germ genes, which means we are more of germs kids and we have come here from germs and we have evolved through our home. And evolution is environmental and the best environment he had as a child. And he can't be corrupt, he can't be bad, but he has to do very hard work because his father also was doing good work. And it gladdens my heart to know this man who was the health minister of the state has come to Naturopathy College for his treatment. And here I see an opportunity for the future because for the last about half a century I've been trying to say that there should not be any caste system in healing process. Healing is a process and your own body heals. Remember that? We are so proud sometimes, especially the rich Western medical doctors. You talk to them, my God, you just don't know. They think they're doctors, they're gods. And they think that only Western medicine can cure the ills of mankind. Actually, one plastic eye surgeon, I didn't understand what he is doing. Anyway, he is a plastic eye surgeon, he calls. He wrote a blog against me. He says, I respect him, he was my teacher, but he is a fool because he thinks Ayurveda is science. If anybody thinks Ayurveda is science, he must be a fool, he wrote. I am happy about that because that shows how the old saying, all wise people know they are fools, but a fool thinks he is wise, is how true it is. And he went on to say that he says he likes Ayurveda. What has he done for Ayurveda? He is asking me, without knowing what I have done for Ayurveda. That's the interesting part. Did he send any one of his children to Ayurveda college? Why is he supporting Ayurveda? Modern medicine is the only future. See, an eye doctor, that too he says he is plastic eye doctor. Maybe he is only working plastic eyes, not human eyes. But the problem is this, that he doesn't know anything outside that realm. This is the bane of the Western science of reductionism. Reductionism, you look at the world in bits and pieces, that's called reductionism. If you look at the world in bits and pieces, you don't understand the world at all. You have to look at the world as a whole, that's called the holistic science. And today, science has come back to Indian wisdom. Did you know that? The latest science is, I want the young students to listen to this very carefully. The latest science is quantum physics. There was a worldview on which we work. It's called the Newtonian, Einsteinian worldview of reductionism. The space-time says time and space, the fastest is the speed of light, etc., etc. And the world is like a clock which is there. It unwinds itself on its own and it doesn't require anybody to do anything. Very interesting. Based on this, Western institutions have built huge establishments, big universities. They started off in probably Vienna in the 18th century, then came back to Europe, and Cambridge, Oxford, and so many other universities came, Trinity College in Dublin. These are all very old universities. They all are built on this worldview, Newtonian, Einsteinian worldview, where everything is absolutely right. Now this view has been proved to be wrong, and thinking people inside science have been thinking about changing science, and they have went ahead. The first man who did that was Max Planck, who nearly 100 years ago said, this science is inadequate. Then of course came the next generation and the present generation who found out all this, led by a man called Hans-Peter Dürr, who was the Max Planck Institute director in Munich for about 40 years. This man found out for the first time. He is a nuclear scientist, a PhD in nuclear science, and he found out his boss was making bombs, and he left the boss and came back to Germany. He was in America studying for his PhD when he was young, and he was studying with Edward Teller, who was the father of the hydrogen bomb. When he found out this man was making hydrogen bomb, which would destroy the whole world, he left and came back and joined his old institute, the Max Planck Institute, which is now called the Werner Heisenberg Institute in Munich. And his colleague was Werner Heisenberg himself. And the one scientist who said the first truth very loudly and got the Nobel Prize was Werner Heisenberg. His teacher was Albert Einstein. Your textbooks that you read says Albert Einstein is a great brain, his brain must be preserved, he is nobody like that, he is a scientist, blah, blah, blah. But the truth is totally different. See, this is what's called reality. You are fed education today. That's why I asked the word education. What's education? Educe is the etymological root, Latin root. Educe, E-D-U-C-E, is to deliver. Educe is deliver. So education is delivering the wisdom inside man out and polish it. That's called education. Make every human being a real human being. That's called education. Do you understand that? But what education are we giving today? Indoctrination. Indoctrination. Whatever you want the student to learn, you teach him. History. What is history? The different powers in the past, the governments in the past, they wrote whatever they want to write, and they had their own historians write history. And history is what the historian writes, which means most history is wrong. Do you understand that? Similarly, science. Science is indoctrination. 2 into 2 is 4. Right? Any doubt? That's what you are told in the class. Did you know that you and I, when we were born, had the capacity to smell things and find out for ourselves like a dog? And we are much better than the dog. But today, do we use a man to smell anything? We use a dog. Why? Man has lost his sense of smell because the indoctrination. Lot of wrong things are taught to you right from school days. Please remember, 2 into 2 need not be 4. It could be 4, it could be 5, it could be 6. This is what is called the uncertainty principle. The first wisdom to Western science came in the year 1925 when sitting in the class of Albert Einstein in Zurich Polytechnic, this young boy stood up and said, "Sir, what you're talking through your hat. All that is wrong. E is equal to mc squared, blah, blah, blah." He said, it's all wrong. Now what will happen to a student who gets up in a class in the Zurich Polytechnic and tells his Nobel laureate, his professor, that you are wrong, what will happen to that student? Any idea? No? No? Can't you imagine? Suppose you get up in your class and tell Prashant Saab, what you are talking through is your head, it's all wrong. What will happen to you? Huh? Correct. You will become an outstanding student. So, Werner Heisenberg was an outstanding student of physics in 1925. For how many years he was outstanding? For 30 long years. 30 long years. To tell the truth is very difficult. I told you how the plastic eye surgeon scolded me. Yesterday one surgeon scolded me in a blog, saying that he's a bloody fool, he doesn't know anything, and because of him we all suffer. What is suffering? They think business is a business. Medical practice is a business, which it should not be, because our own father of modern medicine, Western medicine, Hippocrates said, never try to make money in the sick room. Remember that? Never try to make money in the sick room. If any one of you, the M.B.B.S. and M.D. fellows, with the M.B.B.S. itself, it's difficult to talk to them after that. If you have an M.D., then you have to have a special appointment to talk to them. So, don't have that hubris, that arrogance, that pride, that ego. That is killing science, that is killing knowledge. Be humble. What I know is nothing. What I don't know is everything. So beautifully said by our ancestors. In Tamil there is a beautiful saying. Any Tamilians here? Good. Theriyuma? Therinjadu kaiyalavu. Theriyathathu ulagalavu. What is known can be held in the hand. What is not known is universal. So beautiful. Now here was a very wise man, Johann Goethe, who was the wisest German ever born. And he had everything. He had qualifications, MD, PhD, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, in every field. One day he gets up and says, I now know everything. I know physiology, philosophy, jurisprudence, even, alas, theology, sister, from end to end with labor scheme. But here I stand, O fool, with all my lore, no wiser than before. Did you understand that? Now this is what happened to me about 45, 50 years ago. When I came back, I was in Harvard, I was here, there, all kinds of, that is what he was going to read, all that, that's not important. I have been a student of human health and human illness since 1956. How many years? Long before your parents were born. And would you believe, I am as confused as I am, if not more, today than 60 years ago when I joined the medical school. I thought I knew everything when I passed my M.B.B.S. When I passed my M.D., I thought I had everything. When I went and passed my British exams, all exams, and then American exams, etc., then I thought nobody knows as much as I know. That arrogance was in my head, I tell you. I'm telling you because it will help you. And with that arrogance, I came back, became an assistant professor, this, that, and all. One day, a patient was brought dead in our intensive care unit at about 2 o'clock in the morning. Patient was dead, young man, who was so fanatic about his health. He was getting a checkup done almost every 3 months. He was 34 years old, just married with a wife who was 30 years old. Now that morning at 2 o'clock, he just drops down dead in the bed. The wife thinks he is still alive, brings him to the hospital. And when the doctors tell her that he is dead, she does not believe that. She refuses to believe that. And she fights. So these boys called me and said, sir, you better come. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. So I said, okay. So I went to the hospital. This is a large government hospital where we have a lot of patients. And I had gone at 2 o'clock, I didn't have put on my shoes. I was having my chappal and went into the minute she saw me, she was rolling on the floor. She caught hold of my leg tight at the ankle. It was so tight, I thought I'll fracture my legs. Then she asked me one question, one simple question. Why did my husband die, doctor? Can you believe that? What was the question? Why did my husband die, doctor? Because we conventionally say if you have a regular checkup, if you don't eat anything, and as Vaishnav was telling this boy not to eat because he has got a tummy, little big tummy. So, why he had no tummy at all. Actually, his tummy was touching his back. And this man is athletically fit, running every day, etc., but drops down dead. This lady had a very vital question. Why did my husband die, doctor? I was completely nonplussed. For the first time I said, you bloody fool, answer that question. I had no answer. Absolutely no answer. I could tell her how her husband died. I would give her a big lecture. Most of it is wrong. Saying that atherosclerosis, those days we were saying cholesterol. Of course, for the last 50 years I was saying cholesterol is good. People were thinking I was mad. But now the American government thinks cholesterol is good. Then they think, oh, this fool was selling that 50 years ago. Anyway, coming back to it. All this I could talk to her. Atherosclerosis, blocks in the vessels. Even a child has blocks in the vessel. That's a different story. All this I could tell. But why did he die at 35? I have patients with coronary artery disease jugging on at 90. I had a patient who had a heart attack in 1964 when he was 65. And the day I saw him at night at about 3 o'clock, his heart was like a gunny bag. So according to our textbook's wisdom at that time, he should not live long because heart is big. And I told the relatives, and I told his children, they were all my old students, they were in England, America and all doctors. I told them, look, your father won't live long. All according to our textbooks. This man lived for 35 more years. How many years? 35 more years and died at the age of 95. And in between his wife died and he married a young lady at the age of 75 and procreated. Of course, maternity is a matter of certainty, but paternity is a matter of opinion. So that's a different thing. But he did beget a child. Now what I'm saying is, predicting the unpredictable future based on our faulty science is 100% wrong. I remember a patient who came the other day, saw me and said, doctor, they said I have 3 vessel disease. And my doctor kept on saying that unless I have bypass surgery, that the end will come very soon. But do you know, sir, I am very happy today. What happened? The doctor died. And he was so happy that the doctor died. So, future can never be predicted. And this I learned before quantum physics came and said, there is no future. Future is yet to be born. There is no tomorrow. So don't think of tomorrow. And yesterday is dead. Don't think of yesterday. Think of today, present. God has given you a present. Now come back to arrogance. Arrogance is the problem we're integrating various systems of medicine. Because the modern medical firm, who we call ourselves modern, the Western medical man thinks Western medicine is something high. You know, you go to Delhi, whom do the people talk about? Trihans and this ones and that ones, because there are tons of money. It is money that makes you speak about them, not what they do. That's a different thing. If you really go and find out what they do, it is horrible inside. But they have made money, tons of money. They are big people, you know. Whoever talks about big money only. How they make money, nobody tries to find out. Ever since money came to this existence in this world, mankind is suffering. Did you know that? 1802, the first industry started in England. And this poet, romantic British poet called William Wordsworth. Have you heard of William Wordsworth? Oh, good. He wrote a poem. Have you heard of that poem? That's called The World is Too Much With Us. Anyone heard of the poem? The World is Too Much With Us. He wrote it in 1802. I'll give you 4 lines. It's a fascinating poem. Go back and read the rest of the lines. He said, world is too much with us, late and soon, comma. Getting and spending, we lay waste our powers, comma. Little do we see in nature that is ours. This line is very important. Little do we see in nature that is ours. Naturopathy comes from nature and that is yours. Did you understand that? When did he write that? 1802. Last line. We have sold our soul. I added 2 words to the devil, comma, a sordid boon. You know the English language? Sordid boon are 2 words which imply hell of a lot of things. It's such a horrible curse, he says. What? Money. And today, making money is our religion. And probably our God is money. We try to make money in everything. Try to make money out of the sick room, which we have made a corporate business today. If you believe in the karma theory, which has been now scientifically proven in the lab experiments, you will have to reap the harvest because you are robbing a patient in distress. All his property. Knowing full well we can't cure a cancer patient, we still assure him, we have very good treatment, come. And after about 10 days when he dies, the bill is about 50 lakhs and the patient and the dead body and the bill has to be given. Now this is our business. So friends, younger generation from Delhi, Bhopal, Andhra, M&D, all of you must know one thing. The day you shed your ego, you will be able to mix with naturopaths, Ayurvedas, Yajurvedas. Even quackery is okay as long as the quack has a kind heart. Let me tell you something very seriously. It's not the degree that matters. It is not what you have studied that matters. It is not the pati that matters, whether it's allopathy, Ajopathy, this pati, homeopathy, that pati. No. It is how good a human being a doctor is. That matters a lot. If you are a good human being, you command the respect of the patient. When once you command the respect of the patient, we all demand the respect of the patient. I am a doctor, everybody must salute me. No. Command. They must feel you are worthy of respect. You are worthy of having faith in you. The word faith, F-A-I-T-H, is the most important thing in medicine. Not what you have learned about pathology. You know, pathology is studying the tombstone. You take a biopsy, then smear it on the glass slide, squeeze it so the cells are distorted, then poison it with hematoxin and eosin, and then rise it under the microscope. What do you see? The dead cells. That is why today we don't know what cancer is. Cancer is studied from the slide, and we classify it, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. The biggest biologist in the world who got 2 Nobel Prizes, his name is Albert Szent-Györgyi, has written a beautiful book for all of you to read. He says, Introduction to Submolecular Biology, where he says, I quote, I don't know what cancer is, where the cancer cell works exactly like a normal cell. Cancer cell is your own body cell, which is wandering all over the body because the environment has become so difficult for it to survive where it is. And in the bargain, it may put seedlings all over the place. Before it manifests in an organ, it has already manifested in so many organs in the body. See how important it is. Now our science is so ridiculous. Now let us say, it's an open hall now. A bird comes in here, sits on that projector. Now you call a scientist and say, why did this bird come here? Where is it going? What is it supposed to do? Do you know what he will do? He will catch hold of the bird, kill it, and make slides of it, and look at this and say, this bird has come from maybe a far off place. It is come to see all of you and see what the thing is happening. And this kind of a ridiculous thing, this is called reductionist science. What he says is, I don't know how any human being can kill a cancer cell without killing normal cells. How true? Every anti-cancer drug kills more of the body's immune system than the, but you can develop the immune system, and if your immune system is developed, cancer gets killed. So the whole science has to change into holistic science. This is called immune system development. That is what Ayurveda's basis is all about. Swasthasya swastha rakshitam. Preserve the wellness of the healthy people. Very profitable.